Hello there, everybody. I really don't want to do a whole big thing, but I guess I have to tell this story. So, if you follow me on YouTube, you'll know I did videos for quite a few months with a chap from Barcelona called Simon Harris. And we talked about culture, and I thought we had some useful and interesting, productive chats. But then about 3 weeks ago, something weird happened. So just before we were about to record our chat on a Wednesday, Simon asked me if I'd read something called The Culture of Critique. Now, I know what this is. It's a book by a man called Kevin MacDonald. And I haven't read it, but I know people who have. And it has some connotations to it that... Anyway, I haven't read it, so I said to Simon, I don't want to talk about a book I haven't read. And we did our show. That was the first show that we discussed circumcision, because I put it in our list of topics. Iceland brought up the idea of banning circumcision, which... I'm okay with circumcision. I've circumcised my kids. I don't want to rehash that article, that whole argument. But suffice it to say that if you ban circumcision in your country, it makes it hard for Jews to live there. So you have to decide. I mean, either you want Jews or you want plurality of religions in your country, or you don't. If you don't want Jews, then ban circumcision. Most of them will leave. Anyway, we had the discussion, and... Afterwards, I asked a friend of mine to send me a copy of Culture of Critique. I knew I would get it from that friend without having to pay for the bloody thing. And I got it, and I opened it up, and I started reading, and it was pretty much exactly what I expected it to be, which is, I would call it a combination of the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, which was a Tsarist forgery of the ideas of how the Jews are plotting to take over the world. It was written over 100 years ago. It's still a bestseller throughout the Arab world. The Muslims love it. It's a combination of that, a little bit of Mein Kampf, just the bits of Mein Kampf that relate to Jews, and then it's all mixed up and presented in a veneer of evolutionary psychology. And that's what the Culture of Critique... That's the impression I got of the Culture of Critique very, very quickly. And I didn't really have the time or energy to do a full refutation of Culture of Critique. And then on Sunday night, following that Wednesday, I appeared on another one of Simon's live streams, and this time with again, talking the whole time about FGM, female genital mutilation, and child male circumcision in Jews, which are two totally different subjects, and just even bringing them together actually is problematic. And also appearing on there was an anti infant circumcision campaigner from America. Okay, I don't know what his problem is or his hang up. It's not my cause. I'm not particularly interested. So I appeared on that live stream, and I still hadn't read Culture of Critique, and I still don't want to discuss Culture of Critique. It's just not interesting to me to have to argue against it. Other people have done that better. In the meantime, a guy called Nathan Kofnas has written, for the first time in 20 years, an academic refutation of Culture of Critique. So I don't need to do that. There's a guy who's studying for his PhD in Oxford in that field of evolutionary psychology, and he rips it apart, in my opinion. It's cherry-picked stuff. It's not understanding what Judaism is. There's just so many things you can throw at Culture of Critique that it's not going to be my life's work to do that. But Simon, by then, had descended into he's swallowed this red pill of Culture of Critique and what comes with it. And I knew things were going funny when I was seeing that. The guy from the BNP, the Nick Griffin, was retweeting stuff that had my name in it because he was retweeting Simon's stuff. And, you know, the BNP are racist, on the verge of neo-Nazi. We'll call them neo-Nazis. They believe in white supremacy. They don't want blacks to come to their meetings, and they also come up with batshit crazy conspiracy shit about Jews. They've even Nick Griffin has even written about me because of the time Tommy was here. We stood on a tank, and apparently, according to Nick Griffin, who knows everything about Israel, being able to stand on a tank in the Golan Heights indicates that I'm seriously well connected with the intelligence services and the IDF. Well, no. I mean, I've met... I know people in the spokesman's office of the IDF, but actually the one I know best is retired now. Anyway, it's bullshit. There were tanks in a field. We stopped. We stood on them. It's actually quite easy to do in Israel, as long as you don't, that's just how it is. Anyway, Simon's gone down this road of accepting the culture of critique. He sees it as a personal challenge to him, any refutation. He's written a whole load of blog posts, some of which are quite nasty about me, and I liken it to this experience which I had a long, long time ago. I had an ex-girlfriend, and she had some serious mental health issues, and twice whilst living with me, she attempted suicide, and I returned home to find this, and she failed on both attempts, in some small part thanks to me finding her and getting her the help she needed. But it took some time, but I finally figured out that it was actually not my fault. And Simon turning to be what he is turning to be is not my fault either. I think he must have had it in him. One particular friend of mine is sort of, he's taken it upon himself as an academic challenge to study what happened there, but we'll see what his results are. To me, it's a pity. I mean, but I think something must have been troubling him before in regards to Jews and how he feels about Jews and what he says about Jews and calling me funny names. I'm not really going to go down that path. So I'm doing this one. I've already done one quick little video with my friend Kenneth, but I thought I have to address the chronology of what happened. And that week after the Sunday show, when he started writing blog posts and really basically coming out as a full-on member of the alt-right, following culture of critique, and I mean this is exactly the same ideological and academic basis upon which David Duke speaks, and Richard Spencer and these people, and they are full-on white supremacists. They don't like Jews for racist and ideological reasons, and I really don't want to have much interplay with those people. I'll never appear on another thing with Simon, unless he, gets de-red-pilled or whatever the process is. I don't want to talk to him again. I'm not really interested. I'll talk past him. He's not my audience. He's happy to pursue whichever intellectual path he likes and sees where it leads him, and much health and happiness to him for that. But me, no. I'm not going to deal with people who regard Jews as a monolithic, directed group who are working to put the non-Jew down. I've never encountered that. I don't want to defend. It's not a charge worth defending against because it's so ludicrous. So that was it. Any questions you want, fire them back at me on Twitter, wherever, any specific little details. But basically, once he started writing the things he was writing, I wasn't really going to have another discussion with him. And it actually happened. It coincided with a week where I was working in my office doing actual real work. And I wasn't really on Twitter 24/7. I was seeing this stuff go by. I was watching some YouTube videos. And by the time I was back in a position to answer, he was so far gone that I can't have a discussion with him. And I know that some other people have been a bit shocked, people who've appeared on videos with him in the past. And I mean, I know the one thing that will happen to me, because this is the internet has this effect of compressing timescales. So I've been on videos with Simon for quite a few months. And now he's making videos that, even without cherry picking, there is a lot of negative emotion towards Jews and Jews in general. And those videos, if someone were to now show me those videos now, I, of course, would never go on another YouTube with Simon. But there's a body of work of mine that's on YouTube, that's out in the public, all of which I'm happy with. But people will then ask me, why were you on these videos with this anti-Semite? Okay, well, you know, I have to say, it might have, all I can say is, it wasn't when I started. Maybe I changed him, he thinks I did. I don't care. Got better things to think about. Anyway, Tommy's been banned from Twitter, as you all know by now. Maybe I'll make a separate video about this, but right now, that's all I've got to say. I am enjoying a fabulous beer. Oh, let's show you the view. We got light clouds, but it's warm and hot and sultry here. And we head into Passover, Pesach, which is going to be Friday. Friday night is the night. So beer is verboten for a week. And that's about it. Bye-bye.